Hi, this is Steve Lukather, rocking out on Backbeat, the rock source.
All music is the same. It's just a new set of lyrics and a new backbeat.
Thanks for taking some time out to have a chat with me again.
No problem, mate. Happy to do it.
Yeah. Well, the last time we met, you were about to be a father. You were debating whether to call your daughter Crystal or Ruby. And now you've changed. You've gone to flowers. You called her Lily.
Well, yeah, I think at that point it was pretty early on. I didn't really. I just found out. She's 18 months old now. Mm-hmm. She's beautiful, wonderful, treasure. I miss her very much, but I'm able to iChat, you know.
Oh, that's
nice. So she can see me, but she doesn't understand why I'm in a box, you know. Daddy in a box. Dad, that box. Dad, that phone. She calls me Dad, that phone.
That's funny.
But she doesn't understand what the hell's going on. You know? Or maybe she does, but she can't articulate it. You know?
The producer of this album now, Steve McMillan, ordered you to go back to the basics, create old and new sounds for this project, this new album.
Yeah.
Was it by chance recorded in analog to add to that feel?
We used a lot of analog gear mixed in with the Pro Tools technology.
Yeah.
Just so we could keep moving in the same format. It's very difficult, you know, to move back and forth. And we considered that at one point, but they got the plugins now that are so good that it's almost inaudible. The difference between, you know, what we loved about analog and what we love about the new technology.
Present touring band, the lineup. You guys have done, I don't know how many shows now.
Oh Jesus, this is year 2. You know, and we're going till the end of the year.
Still going strong. You're so tight right now. Would there be any possibility of keeping this touring band together?
Yeah.
For the next album?
Yeah, we talked about it already. I got to write it first, and I got to go. I have some deals on the table that people don't want to work, want to do it, but which is cool. Yeah, there's a lot of things in the wind, man. I'm really busy.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I mean, we just finished 10 shows in 11 days. You know what I mean?
Go.
5 on, 1 off, 5 on.
Do you know what town you're in?
Stuttgart.
Right.
Let's think for a minute there.
Yeah.
Don't ask me what day it is, because I can't tell you that.
No, that's okay. Your son Trevor now helped you out on this album.
Yeah.
Was there any plans of maybe taking him on tour? Sort of.
Yeah,
like,
we're gonna come over in November and do something together. Just do like a week worth of dates, you know, in Holland and maybe one in Germany.
Really? Sort of like Van Halen.
Yeah.
They took him on tour.
Yeah. Well, no, it'll be a little different situation. I mean, Wolfie's in the band now. I mean, he's in Van Halen.
Right.
So I mean, you know, he earned his way all the way up to that. And you know, he's a very talented kid, man. And it's just so funny because I've known Ed and Al for, damn near 30 years now, you know. And we're very good friends and stuff like that. And our kids kind of grew up together. It's good to see all the kids starting to get their own lives together and stuff. It's neat to watch, man. I know the great feeling it is when you work with your son, you know. And he's good. You know what I mean? He's really good and talented. It makes you proud.
Keep it in the family.
His new band is killing. But it's really him. It's a solo thing, but you know he's got a band together.
So it runs under his name.
Yeah, Trev Lukather. Yeah, and he just opened up for Rick Springfield and ripped the house apart, and Rick was all over him, and like he had like a bunch of 40-year-old women trying to fuck him and stuff like that. Pretty funny.
Welcome to rock and roll.
Oh no, he's been doing this for a long time now. He left high school to go on the road with that chick Lindsay Lohan. When he was 17, and he's going to be 22, so he's been a professional musician for all that time.
So he's got a couple of miles on him.
He's writing songs for other people, getting them cut. The guy that produced Daughtry just took one of his songs for a new artist they just did. And you know, he's working with me, and you know, he's doing sessions, and then he's working his ass off. He's playing all over the Sunset Strip at least once every couple of weeks, you know. And there's a lot of, they're all hovering around trying to sign him and stuff like that, you know. But the deals are so shitty now. It's like, God, you know, it's like, dude, don't sign that, man. You're better off doing it yourself.
Well, you're his mentor. You can keep an eye on him.
I do, and he comes to me for advice, you know. And you know, the one thing I do have is a lot of experience. 35 years in, you know, as a professional. You know, years before that.
Well, let's have a chat about the album. Trevor's also had some input on some of the songs.
Yeah, no, he co-wrote 2 songs on the album, played on those tunes.
A New World was partly written with him. It's a reflection of the twisted environmental situation that we live in these days.
Well, that's kind of the whole record's about that,
Yeah.
Ever-changing times,
Are you an environmentalist? Or
Yeah.
was that his view of things?
No. Actually, it was Randy Goodrum who came up with the original lyric idea. But we all kind of contributed our bits to it. But yeah, man, I'm looking at life from a 50-year-old guy's perspective. You know what I mean? I'm not 20 years old thinking about pussy and girls, girls and partying and stuff like that.
That's behind you, so.
No, I'm a happily married guy with a new baby and 2 grown, wonderful children that turned out great in spite of how crazy my life used to be. And I don't know, man. I'm just looking at the world as fucked up, man. I mean, it's really bad. I mean, we're in a mess. America's a mess right now. And the rest of the world is, everything's kind of falling apart, man. If we don't get it together, if we don't realize, wait a minute, what are we spending trillions of dollars on war when we could feed people and make friends? I never got that.
That's something that a lot of people certainly don't. I don't get it.
I don't understand it. I mean, I remember I come from that hippie peace love shit. You know what I mean? Why can't we all just get along? You know what I mean? I don't have any anger towards anyone. I mean, there's always the extremists on both sides, the extreme right, the extreme left, and that's where the problem lies. I mean, where's the moderate people, and they can take a look at both sides. I'm really hoping that Obama gets a shot. I mean, they're already trying to tear him apart, and he's only been in for 2 months.
It seems to me that he's moderate.
Yeah.
He's looking at both sides of the coin.
Yeah, man. But he inherited all this shit.
Yeah.
It's like, everybody forgets that. It's like he's not a magician. He can't just wave a wand and make it all go away. Shit, wouldn't that be great, But I gotta say, man, he's a strong, intelligent man, and the rest of the world goes, well, I think you guys voted the right guy in. So maybe we can make back some friends that we lost over the last 8 years or something like that.
That would be nice.
That's the dream. It's gonna take a while to fix all this shit.
Yeah. The track "Tell Me What You Want From Me" is a great ballad with some nice heavy guitar riffs.
No, that was Trev, man. That was his input. I said, give me a riff, man. I said, let me see what you got. And so he played me this really cool riff. I went, damn, that's really cool.
Some heavy shredding.
So we just kind of put our heads together after I heard the initial riff. I go, why don't we make it a yin and yang kind of a vibe? And it builds into this big heavy riff. You know what I mean? But it's more like a Pink Floyd-esque sort of vibe. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's a fun tune.
Pink Floyd, actually, I was kind of thinking of the last track on the album, "The Truth." Yeah. That's your Floyd song.
No, people think that's my Jeff Beck song. No, that's yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm influenced by all those guys. And they're all my friends too. So it was a little homage to all of that style of music. That was done with Steve Porcaro as well. Steve did a lot of the orchestration for that for me. So that was fun. It worked. It was just me and him. That's it.
"Stab in the Back" is your tribute to Steely Dan.
Yeah, sure.
Did you try putting some quirky lyrics in there too?
There are. It's actually kind of a true story.
Really?
Yeah. I don't want to get into who it is, but they know who they are.
Yeah. You have to this day not been asked to play for them, although they generally use session people.
Oh, I was supposed to go do the Asia tour when I was 19 years old.
Really?
I got asked to do it. I actually started rehearsing. I was right after the Boz Skaggs tour and right before we were doing the first Toto album. And so, I mean, I have played with Walter and Donald separately, but never on record. It's been a running gag of mine. It's the one thing I left that I really wanted to do was play a solo on a Steely Dan record. But, so I said, fuck it, I'll write my own Steely Dan song.
Yeah.
Because I'm friends with a lot of the touring guys. John Harrington. It's, all right, I hear a guitar. That's a good sign.
Yeah, that was part of my question. Was there anything left on your
you
wish?
Lost the power in here.
Was there anything left on your wish list?
That to play a solo on a Steely record. But Walter likes to play all the guitars now, and it's his band. So I mean, I can't argue with that. But I've teased him. Because we have a mutual friend, Elliot Shiner, who mixes all their records and stuff like that, has for the last 25 years, whatever. And I keep, whenever Walter's on the phone, I grab the phone. Hey, Walter, man, my phone, is there something wrong with my phone, man? It didn't ring, man. What's up? I said, I'll pay you double scale if I can play a solo, but you got to keep it. And he was laughing. He goes, well, I don't know. He goes, maybe triple scale.
Now, you wrote Ever-Changing Times before the world financial bubble burst. Now, how ironic that the track How Many Zeros so eloquently states that situation.
That's totally what it was all about, man. Anybody with a brain that reads saw this coming. I mean, you know, it's just amazing how bad it really was. One can imagine. It's like, I know a lot of really rich people that are really miserable. You know what I mean? And so money doesn't necessarily make you happy. But I don't know how you can sit down and steal from people. I mean, I just don't understand that mentality. Look at Bernie Madoff. I mean, what was that? $50 billion?
I can't think that high.
You don't really know how much money that is. That is insane amount of money.
It's unbelievable. But
$1 billion. I mean, if you saw it in a room, you go, oh wow.
But it's funny you mention that because it reminds me of a line from Don Henley from the track "Give Me What You Got." A man with a briefcase can steal more money than a man with a gun.
That's right. Oh yeah. Don's right on, man. I've had the honor of working with him. He's an old friend, you know. I think the world of him. I think he's one of the great voices and lyricists, you know, out there, you know. And he's a smart guy.
And one of the last lines in that song is, "You don't see hearses with luggage racks."
You don't see what?
Hearses with luggage racks. It's a great line. It's one of the great lines.
That's Don. He spends a long time, works real hard, digging deep to get the right lyric, man. I have a great deal of respect for him.
Having laid down licks for so many other artists as a hired gun, is there a recording that stands out in your mind, which you're like most proud of? Like, aside from Thriller, I mean, we know it sold 50 million.
Yeah, I mean, but that was baffling to me with the success. I mean, I thought it was, you know, I knew it would do well, but I mean, when I played on Beat It, man, I was going like, "This is your idea of a rock and roll tune?" I was like, really? So I put all these real heavy guitars, and then Quincy called me back and goes, "It's too heavy, man. We gotta bring the smaller amps." And I go, "Well, you said you wanted to break over into the wire." I said, you know, so I set up my stacks and recorded this shit. You know, he wasn't even there. And, you know, I don't know. I mean, that was a wonderful experience. Quincy was always great. But I can't, there's just so much. It's like there's so many, I guess playing with the Beatles, you know, as far at least not the Beatles, but two of the Beatles separately, George and Paul. We're both, you know, I worked with Paul, you know, on a couple of different records, and George became a good friend of mine, and we'd hang out, and he played with us at the Jeff Porcaro tribute and stuff like that in L.A. And we stayed really good friends up until after the stabbing. Then he just broke contact with a lot of people, and then he got sick. And he passed. It was tragic. I mean, he used to just call me. I wish I'd have kept all the messages, you know. Hello, Steve. It's a good buddy, George. You know, it's like it can only be one person. You know what I mean? We're all anybody my age knows that voice. You go, well, that's one of the fucking Beatles, man.
Unmistakable.
Oh, then he takes this. Oh, meet me for dinner. You know, okay, great. So I show up. Bob Dylan's there, and like, you know, I'm sitting in between Bob and George, talking about Sammy Davis Jr. with Bob, you know, because like, you know, I'm not gonna get into it and start talking about like, you know, I love your song, you know, you're in rock royalty, you know, you're sitting in between two of the greatest legends that there are. What do you talk about? So I just made everybody laugh, you know what I mean? You know, and the people in the restaurant were flipped out. They couldn't believe it. There's George Harrison, Bob Dylan, and me, and a bunch of Jim Keltner. Who else was there? Jeff Lynne. Was a memorable. We ended up at a jam up at Jeff Lynne's house, playing Beatles songs and shit like that. Dylan playing bass, me and George on guitar, Keltner on drums, and Jeff Lynne on keyboards.
What a lineup!
Yeah,
my goodness.
I was shitting myself. I was going, my high school friends could see me right now. They wouldn't fucking believe it. They wouldn't believe it. I'm writing a book. You know, it'll all be in the book.
Success with its highs and lows has been a companion to you for 2/3 of your life. What does success mean to you?
Still doing it, man.
Yeah.
I'm doing what I love. I mean, I've been at the highest highs. You know, I mean, you got to be realistic in your goals. I mean, you know, for me, I mean, there's a handful of people my age that are what you would call superstars, and I know most of them. But those of us that have gone off on our own, I mean, I could have kept Toto together and milked it. You know what I mean? But I didn't feel right about that when Mike Carl got sick. You know, he couldn't. You know, he's messed up.
How's he doing?
He's not doing well at all. No? He's in a wheelchair now.
No kidding.
Yeah, he's not gonna get well. He can't stand up on himself anymore. His hands are all withered up. He can't play anymore.
Damn.
And you know, between that and then Dave leaving, you know, to stop touring. I mean, we're all we're all best pals. It was that, you know, the Page and the Porcaro family and I go back, you know, 35, fucking 40 years, you know, or not 30, well, since 1973 or 4, and you know, so Dave and I just finished producing a track that we co-wrote for George Benson with Marcus Miller. That's coming out on his new album, and we have plans to do other things together. But Toto, as Toto per se, I don't see that in the future, man. You know, I mean, I'm not going to say anything. Most everybody I'm really cool with. You know, like Simon's great. You know, and there are other people that we just didn't see eye to eye, or I just felt like it wasn't the original band.
It wasn't Toto anymore.
Yeah, it was like I was standing there. I was the only guy that was there from day one.
Yeah.
I mean, when Kimball left the band for 17 years, and he came back, and you know, and there's. I don't really want to get too into all that, but you know, I just found. I called up Page one day. I said, "Dude, I don't think I can do this anymore, man. Not without you. Not without Steve. Not without at least one Porcaro in the fucking band." I go, "This just ain't right." It just the monster had gotten so big that it was just.
Time delayed the rest.
It was time. We ended on a high. You know, we had a great tour, and the DVD was the top 5, you know, or better, around the world. And you know, we're still selling. You know, we still get money from people who buy the old records. Sony keeps putting out these fucking compilation records, and it's unbelievable. We have no control over it. They own everything. Hey, Didi, 1 second.
Yeah, you're working on your memoirs now, which will have an insight in your illustrious career and experiences. Now, how did that idea come about?
Well, somebody came to me. I mean, I have 3 or 4 people interested in. You know, may the best man win. You know, the best offer win.
Yeah.
I've kept every date, like year at a glance date book. I've ever since 1977. So I have detailed what day, what happened, and who I was working with.
That's cool.
And along with a lot of photos. Hopefully I'll be able to get clearance from most people to use them.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting tome, I'll put it to you that way, because I have a lot of stories. I don't think I could fit it all in one book.
Well, I like the anecdote where George Benson asked you to put his suits in a car.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, that's going to be full of stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just busted his balls on that when we just worked together.
Really?
Eric Benet was in doing an overdub. Page and I showed up to hear the vocal that he wanted us to hear. And, you know, I was just telling stories. I goes, "George, you remember the first time I met you, man?" He goes, "No, I don't really remember." I go, "Yeah." And I was sitting there, dressed up in my jeans, and my hair was all whacked out and shit like that. I was a young kid, you know. He's like, "Hey, man, go get my suits out of the car." So I said, "I'm not going to argue with George Benson. He told me to get his suits out of the car." So I go back in, I sit down, and then I get introduced. It's like, no, this is Lukather, the guy that wrote the tune. You know? Turned out to be a Grammy Award-winning song. You know? Me and Jay Graydon and Bill Champlin wrote together.
Not a bad way to go.
No, it's a funny story. He's like, "Damn, I didn't do that." I said, "Yeah, you did."
Because I read Alice Cooper's book, and that was interesting too. So
I worked with Alice.
I really look forward to.
My shit's funny. I got some really, really funny stories.
I can imagine.
It's not just going to be some sex, drugs, tell-all thing. I mean, how boring. There'll be a few of those stories.
I don't think it'd be your character.
You'd
be more for the comedy age.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I will tell some funny stories that implicate only myself. I'm not going to rat people out and ruin their lives or something like that by talking shit I shouldn't talk about. You know what I mean? Private stuff, you know. But if I did something silly and I implicate myself, you know, then there'll be a few things that I told my mother-in-law already. I said, "You can't read this book. You're not allowed to read this book. You will never look at me the same way again." And I said, I'm going to try to keep it as above board as possible. So you're still not going to want to talk to me.
Yeah. Well, being a father at 50, is that a new shot of adrenaline, or?
Yeah, it's intense. I never expected it in a million years. It was actually totally, one of God's happy accidents, because we weren't using birth control for years. Like, I just thought about shooting blanks, I'm done, Never really worried about it. All of a sudden, my wife comes in, she goes, "I haven't been feeling well lately, so I took a pregnancy test. I missed my period." I go, "Really?" She goes, "Positive." I went, "No shit. You are kidding me. I'm going to be a dad at 50? But it turned out to be, you know, because I had my older kids were out of the house, you know what I mean? I thought it was like, you know, kickback time, you know what I mean? No, but yeah, but she is a little treasure, man. She's brought a lot of love into our lives, and it was meant to be.
One last question. 99. You guys fans of Get Smart?
Oh, yeah.
Where does that song come from?
Well, that wasn't, that was Dave's idea. He sort of stole the idea from George Lucas's THX 1153 or whatever it was, where people have numbers instead of names. But he would pick 99, you know what I mean?
Right.
You know, I think at one point he wanted to call the song Valentine, and we said, no, that's too fucking gay. So we changed it to 99.
I don't know. Somehow I had this picture of
well, we
Barbara
got
Feldon.
Oh no, we got all that shit. We were really young then, you know what I mean? I was like 20 years old when we did that record. 21 years old, maybe. Yeah, I was just 21 years old when we did the second Toto album. So you know, we were just kids getting high, being crazy, and like you know, the lyrics really weren't our strongest point at that time in our career, you know.
Yeah.
And so there was. David wrote the song. It's my least favorite Toto song. I don't want to play it. I never want to play it again.
Well, you guys have produced some pretty awesome material, I have to say. And,
Thanks, man.
And this was definitely next to 4. I would say this is probably.
I like that record, man. I'm really proud of that. We worked hard on that, and it was the first time we got to work with Elliot on the Toto record. It was the first record we did after Jeff passed. So we were all, and I was the singer.
And some of the songs on Ever Changing Times reminds me a bit of that album.
Well, I had a lot to do with the writing and singing and playing on that record and production. So yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, there's going to be some stuff that's going to carry across. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just who I am. You know? You know, I wrote a lot of those songs and I played all of them and I sang on a lot of them.
No, that's your fingerprint.
So yeah, I mean, I can't really change that too radically anyway. But we had a great run, man. Like I said. Nothing but I choose to remember only the fondest memories. You know, let the other shit go. You know, there's no point carrying that around.